That's really awkward. Sasha, I'm 21 years old. I would say spooked, caring, and emotional. I'm an undergrad at McGill University, so that pretty much consumes my entire life. I'm studying in psychology. I recently became a cheerleader again, which was like a big part of my identity for like when I was in high school, and I started again this year, but I'm probably going back to retirement next year. Depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, and I'm starting potentially we're like tracking my symptoms to see if I am potentially cyclothemic. Well, I think it probably started like since I was like very young. I remember always being very scared of just doing things, like just going out in public, performing. Like I had an awful stage fright when I was like, when I was very, very young. Like I was in dance, and I used to like freeze on stage. And I would assume that's just because like I had either performance anxiety or just like performance-related social anxiety. Yeah, and I kind of just, there was always a lot of like mood swings that I had where I'd be like very sad at times, even when I was young, and I'd cry a lot. I was always very emotional as a kid, so that probably is why I have like potentially, like that could have been like a precursor to like either depressive episodes or potential. I like to be very open about my illnesses, so I like to be like, I like it when people know that I have like depression or anxiety, because it makes it more open. It makes it easier for me to like reach out to people and for them to understand what I'm going through. But I also do like when people know that I do have these illnesses, but that doesn't stop me from doing anything. Like I am still like a pretty successful student. I do have some pretty good jobs, and I am like on top of like in like respects to where I want to be. Like I'm in a very good place, and I feel that I did this despite my illnesses, but also thanks to my illnesses, because like living with anxiety, it helps you like really be very meticulous and plan ahead and be very like organized, because like you always plan for like the worst case scenario. So like that has helped me be like very organized in school. And in terms of like my depression, how that's helped me is that it kind of creates a new outlook on life, where like everybody else has like this optimal like vision. Like I sometimes see it in a more of like a negative side, and that makes it like it kind of, I see two ways of like looking at the world. So it kind of gives me like an advantage over people who just see it in one way. Like it kind of lets me go out of the box. I feel like my mental illness on a daily basis affects me in ways that it affects me in ways that maybe aren't that noticeable to other people, but in my head I'm constantly like thinking about like the worst case scenarios, and I'm constantly just like overthinking. Like I'm replaying situations in my head and like seeing like where I went wrong, and seeing how like everything that I do potentially like leads to like a fatal disaster. And that just gets really exhausting, and it kind of stops me at certain times of doing things that I really like to do, and just also just like the constant worry and the constant fear of just like failure and just among other things gets very like exhausting. And when I have major depressive episodes, like coupled with the anxiety, where I have like the severe anhedonia, which is just like a lack of like motivation to do anything, with like the constant fear of like not doing anything, so I'm failing. So kind of like that interplay of both is very exhausting, because on the one hand I'm like I don't want to do anything, but on the other hand I'm like I need to do it or else like it's the end of the world. So just in general, like I feel as a person I'm a lot more tired than somebody potentially without any of these mental illnesses. But again, like I get through the day and I learn to live with them, and it works out fine. first diagnosed when I was 18 with major depressive disorder. I was diagnosed with, I was taking citalopram. I took citalopram for about a year. Then it kind of made me feel like at a neutral all the time, so I stopped that. And then my doctor then prescribed venlafaxine to me, which was like not that great either. So I stopped taking medication altogether after I went to see a psychiatrist. Like about like a half a year that I had been taking venlafaxine. So I hadn't taken any medication for like a year. Then I had what like my psychiatrist and my counselor both think as my first manic episode, and I was put on mood stabilizers. I don't remember what the name of that medication was because I only took it once and it gave me panic attacks. So I stopped taking those. And in general, I don't find medication is the best for me in the long term. It has definitely helped me in certain aspects of like when I'm in a very deep manic depressive, major depressive episode. Like I would like taking these medications would somewhat help me like elevate my mood, but in the long term they're not very helpful. What I think that has benefited me a lot in terms of my recovery and like learning skills to deal with like symptoms and just like my mental illnesses is like therapy and counseling, which I've been in for like 3 years now. I've been seeing like a sort of counselor, therapist, and a psychiatrist, like on and off, and just like building skills and problem solving skills, and like some CBT training for just like anything that could be beneficial for dealing with what I deal with. Family, it's kind of a complicated question. My family knows, but my family doesn't accept it. And I also don't tell them like the scope of it. Like I think I think I kind of came out to my parents with anxiety, because that was when I told them that was like what I was dealing with in high school, and they kind of helped, like they didn't really help me, but they, like my mom like made an appointment with a psychologist when I was in like Sec 5, but like I didn't really, it wasn't the best situation, but so my family does know I have anxiety, and but they're not very supportive about it. They kind of, I think my dad, when I brought home my medication the first time, my dad was like, "You're not gonna take this is not gonna help you, like what are you like making up illnesses, blah blah blah." My mom is very weird about this. She at times she's like, yes, Sasha like has an anxiety disorder. She needs to be like supported, and like she got me a keychain once with a semicolon on it, which in the community is like a sign for like suicide awareness and like just mental illness awareness. And she got me a keychain with that, and she posted it on her Instagram story and was like, "Oh, for my anxious daughter," and she tagged me, and I thought that was very disrespectful, and I kind of like, called her out on it. So at times she kind of accepts the mental illness, but not in a very supportive way. And other times when I'm talking to her about like I'm feeling anxious right now, like I can't get out of bed because I'm feeling anxious, I feel depressed, like I'm not motivated to do anything, and I just like feel like the world is like crushing on top of me, and I'm like unable to do anything. Then she's like, "Sasha, anxiety doesn't exist. You can deal with this. Get up and like do whatever you need to do." I would say that my anxiety really like peaked and kind of stabilized at a peak in Sec 3 of high school. And this is when like I would go to school and I would walk to class and I would have a panic attack in between all my classes because the floor where our lockers were very crowded, and I just thought I was gonna like I would die basically. That's like what a panic attack is. And I would have a panic attack in between all my classes. I would be constantly worried about like practice, school, like if I'm like gonna get into CJEP, I'm gonna get in, like if anything is gonna happen after CJEP, and I was just super like stressed out about everything all the time. And then I was also like starting to like feel my first like depressive episode symptoms, and it was just like a complete and total disaster. And like after I kind of recovered from my first major depressive episode, I was still left with the anxiety, but with also the like the will and the want to not like feel like I'm not good enough, and to not feel as if like I don't expect things to happen, and not to feel like I've definitely become like a lot more organized, and I plan everything, like everything is written down, everything is in my head, like I know exactly what is gonna happen at a certain time. And it like also gives me anxiety when things don't go my way, but most of the time things go my way because I am so organized, and I just need, like I have everything like planned out. In terms of like other things, it's definitely giving me, like after you go through like a depressive episode and you come back from it, you kind of feel like you know that it gets bad, but it also gets better after it's bad. And even no matter how many like lows there are, like the highs will be highs. So that also kind of made me like have that kind of outlook on life in general, where like, okay, yeah, right now I'm in finals and it's tough and it's awful and I am not having the greatest time of my life, but I know that after finals it's gonna be great and it's gonna be so much better. Like if I work hard and then I like pass my exams well, like I get good grades, like I know that after finals, like the lows will be somewhat worth it. So it's it kind of like changes my outlook on life. This is pretty much what I want to do later in life, right? I don't want to be a clinical psychologist. So I definitely like the cliche of like it gets better, but also just I like explaining to them like how it gets better, and that it does seem like it's awful, and that there is that like you feel like you're against the world, but it's also just figuring out like what world you want to be in, because sometimes that might be the problem. Like you're just not surrounded by helpful people, and you're not surrounded in you're not in an environment that you like, and just like taking a step back and making sure that it's not like you're looking at the global picture and not just internalizing everything that is happening. And also like just to like reach out and like get help, like it's like cliche, but like a therapist helps. Like it's definitely like very effective in like doing what it's supposed to do.